Looking to add some battle damage or weathering to one of your helmets? I got some helpful tips in today's video, so come check it out. Hey, what's up everyone? Back at it. It is DW Darkwing Dad. I had a couple people ask me what is my weathering technique of choice. I wanted to share some highlights from another helmet I did, one of the Mandalorian helmets that just basically shows a pretty easy way to do shading and weathering and things like that. It does utilize an airbrush. However, part of this weathering technique, you really don't need an airbrush. It's just basically layering your paints and then doing a little bit of sanding and then actually utilizing, surprise, surprise, that drill attachment that I showed you guys in the wet sanding video to really give a nice tethered, like a natural worn look on helmets. It could be on edges, it could be on certain parts of the helmet. So what I'm gonna do is basically show you guys, explain the process with some commentary here, show you some highlights, and then show you the helmet, and we'll recap the video. So come along for the ride and check it out. All right, so obviously you're going to post-process the helmet, to your liking. You're going to sand it, get rid of as many of the PLA lines, things like that, get it pretty smooth. However, on this particular helmet, I didn't go too crazy with getting it smooth. In fact, I actually would take Bondo body filler and apply it, not super thick, but just put like a little bit of a clump and then under sand it, and it gave me these little dimples just like that. And I think that's a really cool touch that you can do on helmets if you want to make it look like there's like chunks out of the helmet, or if you want to make like waves and dents. You can see that there's more right there, and I think it gave it a really good touch. And then look at the helmet. It makes it look like it was dented and beat up and kind of just like, I don't know, it just looks like it's all messed up, and that's what the look that I was going for. So don't be afraid to put a little bit of body filler on there, and I call under sanding it. Just hit it with maybe like 120 and then 220, but don't try to get it completely smooth. Almost get it to where it just looks kind of beat up. So do your post-processing. You may not like this tactic or this method. I like it. It's something that I try, but what you want to do is just process your helmet, get it smooth to your liking, and then we're going to move on to the base coat. So after your primer is fully cured and dried, we want to add just a couple light coats of black base coat. It can be glossy or it can be matte, but is essential to the weathering process. Don't go too heavy, just give it enough for good coverage. So then you want to paint your helmet, whatever color you want to do. If you want to do base coat or base clear, whatever you want to do, paint it, let it sit for a day or two, let it completely dry, because then what you're going to do is on some of the edges and some of the areas where you want it to look worn, you're actually going to take sandpaper and sand it down. So you can see there right how that black is bleeding through. That was our black base coat, and you're going to sand it off very lightly, 1,000, 1,500, 2,000. You don't want to go too heavy. You can see on that little middle piece there how that looks great. You just want to lightly sand it. Once you start seeing the black come through to the top, just kind of stop, because then what you're going to do is actually polish over it with that drill polishing adapter, and it's going to help blend it and smooth it all out and make it look more weathered and uniform, ultimately giving you that great weathered, tethered, beat up look. So next I decided to start airbrushing, and this is optional. You don't have to do this, but the reasoning behind this is it's easy to wear down an edge or a piece that's protruding out. You can just get some sandpaper on there, an edge is nice and sharp. You go over it a couple times, just have sandpaper, and then that black will start bleeding through. But in a crevice or a crease, it's very hard to be precise. A lot of times you can take off too much paint or just not get the look that you're going for, and it may potentially ruin the whole paint job. So what I did is I just went through and I airbrushed all of the crevices and nooks and crannies. Now this isn't a precise airbrush job. It was basically just to get black coverage over the area, because what I do is take a high grit sandpaper, 3,000 or 5,000, and actually blend that in, wet sand it with that sandpaper, so it kind of knocks it down. And then when I go over it with the drill adapter, which I'm using that again, it blends it in. So what you're doing is you're kind of knocking it down in essence with the sandpaper, and then the pad and the polish is going to blend it in to make it look more uniform. So all I did is went over all the areas that I thought it would look good with an accent with black, and then I'll explain and demo the process at the end of the video, how I did all the blending for the helmet. And here's just a shot of the helmet after I airbrushed it. Now, some people might think this looks awesome and they would leave it like this, but this isn't a very precise airbrush. Like I said, the idea is to kind of knock some of it down with the sandpaper and blend it in with the drill polishing adapter. But you can kind of see in this helmet here how some of those sanding marks and some of the rough edges that I go for are really complementing the helmet. You can see some of those scratch marks right there in the front of that blue paint there, and it just really makes it look cool. It makes it look like it's just over time it's weathered and beaten up and tethered and whatnot. So this is just a quick look at the helmet, and I will show you the furthermore of the blending process with the drill adapter here in the next slide. All right, so here taking a peek at the helmet after the weathering and polishing blending has been done, and it looks a lot different. It looks a lot better. You know, that sporadic, somewhat heavy airbrush that I did is now knocked down. It's kind of blended in, and it makes it look, you know, tethered and worn and the way an aged helmet would look. You can see on the back on that blue that base coat, that initial black base coat that we did, it's so essential, and you can see how that black is leaching through, and it's such a hard thing to mimic, but it's such an easy thing to do. You know, if you just take black paint and just kind of put it on the surface, it's not going to look the same. Here you've got the blue stripped off, you've got a little bit of the silver coming through, and then the black. It literally makes it look like this helmet is ages old and it's been through a war, you know. So really a cool way that I like to do is that black base coat. It really does help make that age and weathering look even better. Here just showing you the two pads I use, the orange pad and the black pad. You guys have seen that before. Very key, there was no clear coat on this helmet, so if you have a paint job that has no clear coat, just using an orange pad like this and just polishing over it at a high speed, it'll take some of the paint off, and that's what it did here in these corners. So I just very gently went over it with some 2000 and 3000 and then just polished over it, and it started taking the paint off and blending it in. And it furthermore took some of the blue off on that mohawk. You can see there's even more gone here. So again, I just used my Geon polish, and it, you know, just put a little bit on there and just went over it, and it will just naturally, you know, take off the paint. You can speed the process up by using a little sandpaper, 2000, 3000, scuffing the area that you want. But then again, you want to go over it with that drill adapter, that polishing agent, just to get rid of those, you know, those scuffs and those sanding marks. But again, you may want scuffs and sanding marks in a beat up helmet. But same thing that I touched on, the side tally marks. I just went over it with the polisher, and it'll actually take some of the paint off. You don't necessarily need to sand it, but just by doing that, that's how I got that black to bleed through. I just hit it with the polishing pad, and it took some of the yellow and the silver off and really made it look like an awesome weathered helmet. And of course, I'm a little OCD, so there you see me go over it with the black pad. So typically if you sand and you want it to maybe look a little bit scratched, but not too scratched, hit it with an orange pad and some polish, and then the black pad and the polish just to kind of smooth it out. But you'd be surprised when there's no clear coat on paint and you're just dealing with a glossy base coat, you can take a quite bit of paint off with just using that drill pad technique. So and that's really what I did up on the rangefinder here, because this whole area, it's just so sharp that if I sanded it, I felt like I was going to take the paint off the whole way. So I did do a little bit of airbrushing, but for the most part, like the ears and the rangefinder, I just hit it with the compound and the polish, the orange pad and the black pad, and it just weathered everything so beautifully. It made everything just look tethered and beat up and really gave it a unique, awesome look. A technique that I definitely recommend you at least try once. Once you do it once, you'll be really impressed on the final results and really give your helmet an awesome looking custom touch. All right, guys. Well, that's it. That is the video. Hopefully you found it helpful. Hopefully it was insightful. I think it's a different approach. Really cool way to, especially on edges, and just to show like that worn down look. You know, like I said, you kind of start with getting that black base, and then you just sand a little bit of it off, and then just going over it with the drill. It just takes enough off, but then it like smooths it out, but still kind of leaves those sanding marks to make it look like something got rubbed or something got hit and just wore off. This particular video, it is strictly for a gloss helmet. However, if you're doing a matte or a satin helmet, you can just simply just take some light grit sandpaper and just kind of work that edge, work those areas in, and it really does make it look like, you know, it was dragged through the desert or beat up, or a stray bomb or some shrapnel hit it, and just makes it look like it's worn. It's really awesome. Really cool technique. Hopefully you guys found it useful. Hopefully you use it in your prints. Sometimes experimenting with different techniques and ways, you can come up with something awesome like this. It makes it look really cool, make it look like your own piece. Definitely a technique that I would recommend. So I want to thank you guys for watching. To all my subscribers, thank you so much. We will have the subscriber giveaway coming up on Sunday. That is still going on. And it will wrap up Saturday, so there's a few more days. So if you're watching this video, you want to know the contest rules, watch that other video and get involved. If you're not a subscriber to the channel, go ahead and click that subscribe button. If you like all things DIY, 3D printing, Marvel, Disney, Star Wars, my kids' photobombing videos and things like that, go ahead and click that subscribe button. Got a lot more content, a lot more things. The list just goes on and on. I keep filming things. If you're on the Discord, you've probably seen some of my latest project, Boba Fett. That's kind of what inspired this video. That will be, part one should be edited and up on Sunday after the live drawing of the winner. If you did enjoy the video, give me a thumbs up. If you have questions on anything, not sure of a certain technique, or I didn't cover anything good, just drop me a comment. You know that I will reply and guide you in the right direction. Or if you're on the Discord, go ahead and just shoot me a message or leave a comment in the YouTube video section. But that's it for now, guys. Go on, weather those helmets, beat them up, make them look awesome, share them with me on the Discord. Let me know what you think of the video. Drop me a comment, leave me a thumbs up. Until next time, DW out. Later.